Everyone, I hereby call to order the April 12th, 2024 public hearing of the City of Prescott Preservation Commission. Our commission members present at this meeting are Mary Ann Suttles, we have Diane Travis, we have James McCarver, we have Rob Johnson, our Vice Chair, Michael King, and myself, Michael Mirko, Chair. This is an open public hearing and is being videotaped and tape recorded by the city. The proceedings are being televised, are being televised by representatives of the public media, local cable and/or radio stations, and may also be rebroadcast. There are 6 members of the commission present. It will take a majority vote to pass a motion. All parties wishing to be heard will be expected to state their names for the record and please approach the podium. Please all electronic devices on mute. Thank you. The following agenda will be considered today and okay. So we do also have staff members present. Our historic preservation specialist, Ms. Kaylee Nunez. We do have planning manager George Worley. I believe we also have, of course, our mayor. And I think our councilwoman just walked in. Good morning. Ms. Cantelme. And our recording secretary, Sarah Hilton. And I must say that, much to my regret, this is Sarah's last day with us. Sad she's moving on to bigger and better. We're going to miss her. She's done a super job just picking it up and running with it. So thanks, Sarah. Anyway, our first item on the agenda will be the approval of the March 8th meeting minutes. I don't know if everybody's had time to review them.
Right, Mr. Chairman. Mary Ann Suttles, I move to approve the March 8th, 2024 Prescott Commission meeting minutes.
Do we have a second on that?
This is Rob Johnson. I'll second that.
And we have a second. Any discussions, changes? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay, there are 2 other items on the agenda. I think at this time I will drop it in Ms. Nunez's lap for her expertise.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Kaylee Nunez, Historic Preservation Specialist for the city. Oh. It would be helpful if I turn this on. Okay, so first item, 306 Mount Vernon Avenue. You actually saw another proposal for this residence in January, I believe, for fencing replacement in the front side yard. So today's proposal, here's the location. The home was built in about 1914 and is a bungalow style. It is in the Southeast Prescott Local Register District and the Joslin Whipple National Register District. So it's got 2. Proposal is to demolish the existing 162 square foot deck and ramp on the northeast corner of the home. So that's actually the rear of the home. They're going to construct a 160 square foot den in its place with the new ramp. So the siding is going to be 8-inch engineered wood lap siding, painted to match existing. Double hung Anderson Fibrex windows. So those are like a composite of vinyl and wood. There will be architectural grade shingles to match existing. And the roof will be a gable style with the west-facing profile, which is again the rear, to match the existing adjacent roof plane. And here are the elevations of the existing versus proposed. So I reviewed the design against Chapter 10 of the Historic Preservation Master Plan. So that is the East Prescott National District. A chapter for Southeast Prescott has not been written yet. They are very similar. So in part it states encourage scale consistent with existing structures, use gable and hip roofs consistent with historic patterns. Addition should be to the rear of the property. Encourage architectural style roofing material. Double hung windows are the most common with a predominant pane design of 1/1. And then exterior walls of most contributing buildings are sheathed with wood siding in a clapboard, beveled, or shiplap design. So, weighing it against those criteria, the proposed changes to the rear of the building will not impact the historic status of the home nor the districts. Here is a floor plan. We also have the architect Trinity Shelton here, if you have any questions. Recommended action, move to approve request to remove existing deck and add 166 square foot den in its place. And I am open for any questions.
This is Jim McCarver. So the new roof is not going to be visible from the front of the from the street level.
My name's Trinity Shelton, architect, and my address here in Prescott is 115 East Goodwin, Suite I, our office. Correct. The new roof addition will not be visible from the front of the home. In fact, there are view fences protecting the view from the next door neighbor as well, and the vision towards this property from the neighbors will be limited, if at all.
Yes, actually, I drove by there the other day, and from the rear of the building, I mean, it's like opaque. You cannot see anything. There's garages back there. It's pretty private.
It is. One of the challenges we find with adding on to these historic structures, as you probably know, is making something add on that doesn't look like an accident or an afterthought. However, we also have to keep in mind that there are existing fascia lines that we need to kind of continue and also, respect the historic requests of continuing gable end lines where they exist as well. Obviously, a lower profile roof like this, a lower slope roof like this isn't ideal, but we are tying into another low slope roof that exists at the back and wanted to continue the fascia line from there. So that's why you get what you see here. It is an addition in the exact footprint pretty much of where the existing covered deck or not uncovered deck was. And the view of the back is nearly impossible from anywhere around it. So the view of the addition, I mean.
Question? Diane?
Commissioner Travis, no question. I'd just like to say thank you for submitting such a complete packet. The original versus the new proposed helped immensely, and the submittals that you submitted, perfect. Thank you.
Fantastic. I'm glad you appreciate it. I was actually on the board about 10 years ago, so I understand it's important to see what we are coming from and what we're going to in order to make a educated decision on it.
Good job. So, do I have a motion on HP 24001?
Mr. Chairman, Michael King, I move that we approve HP 24-005, which is the removal of the existing deck, adding a den and a ramp.
50?
Yes, I apologize that the project number isn't in the action. It is in the upper right-hand corner. So yes, HP 24-005.
I have
Yes.
Is that what I said?
You
Yes.
said 5, but I have 1. Okay.
Diane Travis, I move to approve, or I second HP 24-005.
Do I have a second?
She just did.
Oh, oh, Mike, okay. Sorry, folks. Any other discussions? Nope. Vote? Aye.
Aye.
Approved? Good job.
Okay, next item is at 124 West Gurley Street. So that's the northeast corner of the Gurley-Montezuma intersection. So I actually found a photo here from about 1904, the building. It was built in 1901. It is not a National Register contributor due to significant changes to the front and side facade, but it is within the Courthouse, Plaza, local and national districts. So here is an aerial map indicating its location. So the proposal is to install new lettering for Black Arrow Jewelry and Art Gallery with a aluminum decorative arrow. So the letters are plastic formed, bevel faced to be mounted with studs. And then there will be black metal gooseneck light fixtures mounted above to illuminate. And here is a rendering provided by the contractor, the sign contractor, A&B Sign. Unfortunately, he's not present this morning. Oh, is he behind the pillar? Oh, I'm sorry, Brian. You were hidden. Good.
Could you approach, sir?
Well, I'll finish the presentation, then he can be open for questions. So I reviewed the design against the Chapter 8 of the Historic Preservation Master Plan. So Chapter 8 in part states, use integral and natural colors compatible with the building and district, promote continued use of the Courthouse Plaza District as a cornerstone commercial and business area. Signage should complement and not detract from the building, and it shall be used for identification only versus advertising. So the proposed signage will not impact the historic status of the building nor the integrity of the district. That was my final evaluation against those criteria. Recommended action, move to approve HP 24-006, request for approximately 21 square feet of new wall-mounted signage for Black Arrow Jewelry and Art Gallery. I am open for questions, as well as Brian from A&B Sign.
I have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. The backdrop, I see this black panel. Is the lettering going to be attached to this black marquee, if you will, above the awning?
Brian Wywick, 691 6th Street. Yes, the black that you see the lettering attached to is the actual building fascia.
Wait, speak up, sir.
The black that the letters are attached to is the actual fascia of the building.
So it's going to be painted black, am I correct?
Yes, they are repainting the building
They're going to repaint the building black
black.
and then apply these white letters.
Yes, correct.
And then they're going to have a standout arrow, am I correct?
It is dimensional, yes. It is dimensional.
Is there something wrong with his microphone? I can't hear.
No, we just have to speak louder, I suppose.
Yeah, I can't hear you, sir.
Okay, yes, the arrow is dimensional.
Other questions? Jim?
This is Jim McCarver. A couple things. The size, are there requirements for the size of the sign compared to the amount of space they have to put the sign up?
There are, and I contemplated whether I should bring that up because that's more of a planning and zoning question, which we will evaluate when he submits for permits. We did find that it's actually over his allotment, so we'll have to scale it down in size to to about 13 square feet.
I
The
think-
design will remain the same. It's just going to be scaled down.
The other question I had on the little gooseneck lamps, there's only one other business on Gurley in that block. It's at the other end that has gooseneck lamps. There's one facility, one business, and I don't. My question was: is there any requirements, because these lamps, the neck part of it extends above the top of the building, and just comparing it to the one at the other end, it doesn't do that. And I just, I thought, it's my opinion, and it may not be based on fact, but keep the neck of the thing below the roof line. I don't know if that's possible, or if even that was of concern, or if there's any requirements for lighting.
That's a good observation. You know, the guidelines do specify no signage projecting above, you know, the roof plane, the parapet. It doesn't go into lighting fixtures, but that's kind of like a tangent you could draw. You could make a stipulation on the motion to require that.
That's my feeling.
Okay.
I'm still a little in the dark about the black. They're going to paint the building. To me, it's just a bit overwhelming. It's like you're taking up this whole building. I don't even see the building. All I see is awning and that sign. I just think it's the black. Is there something else you can do?
We're
black?
simply the sign contractor. We are simply the sign contractor. We're not painting the building. We don't have anything to do with the color that our client has decided to paint.
So our colors on the square,
We can't govern paint colors. You know, the way it reads is we evaluate projects that require building permits. Now, with that said, I have made several recommendations to folks on their historic properties about paint colors. And, you know, if the owner's open to it, I'd be happy to talk to them, because I do feel it is a bit harsh. We could come up with some middle grounds there. But it can't be part of this motion because, again, we cannot govern paint colors.
Mr. Chairman, could I?
go ahead.
Michael King. So going back to what you talked about was the scale of the sign. It's now at 21 square feet. It's going to be 13. So it would not the black, so to speak, would not be as big as we see it right now. Isn't that right?
It would, because it's paint. It's paint covering the whole front facade. So yeah, the paint is separate of the sign,
So when
and
you're
we're solely evaluating the sign today.
Right. So I'm trying to figure out the scale, the concern about color. So I want to understand. So 13 is what square feet? Is that the letters, the BLAC, the letters of the words? Is that?
So actually, the way it works with a design like this, where it's, you know, irregular shaped, we have to draw a box around the sign elements and calculate it that way. Now, I know Brian sent me an email this morning saying it was like 18 and some change. We'll have to reevaluate, and I'm going to have him draw a box around the scaled down design to ensure it meets the 13.
Okay, I understand now. It's like the font size will determine the size of it'll go down from 21 to 13. But the backdrop of black is still a concern, and I think you brought that. It's not within our jurisdiction to talk about colors, but you've made recommendations.
Correct.
Thank you.
There is a precedent for Black Colts barbecue at the other end. That's a black building too.
I
And I
do.
don't want-
I
I don't-
remember that coming to Preservation Commission, and
Yeah.
Rob Burford, you know, was the
So
chairman, and he expressed concern about that. The black, it was preferred they had red brick, but ultimately the black was passed. It's just not a color you saw at the time these buildings were built. It's just like, I had a gentleman who wanted to paint his Queen Anne Victorian black with gold trim. And I'm like, that's just not within the character of these turn of the 20th century buildings. So again, we can't dictate the paint color, but I'll certainly make recommendations.
So I don't understand why making suggestions about the color of the building is not part of our commission. It seems like it would be.
It's just not in the guidelines. You're only allowed to address items that require permits. But it's always something to contemplate in the future, as we rewrite the master plan.
Yeah, I for one don't like the black. Anyway, any other discussion? Doesn't look it. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, Diane Travis, I move to approve HP 24-006 at the scaled down 13 square foot dimensions.
We have a second?
Second.
Mary Ann, thank you. Vote? Or
Aye.
we have one nay, so we have 5 up.
Where's the date?
Right next to us here.
I still have concerns about the gooseneck lighting, and if that.
Yes, it noted, and maybe that can be part of a side discussion with the owner.
So I guess it's still approved. Oh, Mary
No.
Ann, you have further
Since
discussion?
it's pro-
Okay, then it's approved.
If I might, this has nothing to do with it has a little bit, or I wouldn't ask. The question was, when it started, this business is not in the preservation part of it. It's called the local and national zoning. Is that correct?
No, it's within 2 historic districts. Because the courthouse, we have what are called, I call them double dippers. So it's like you have the national districts and you have the local. The local districts are the ones that you as Preservation Commission evaluate projects within the local districts. For the national, it's an administrative. So yeah, it is indeed within 2 districts.
And second question, not all businesses around that courthouse are in that district?
They are. It's everything circling the courthouse plaza.
Thank you.
Yes.
Then I guess we'll go to any staff. Well, we have staff updates with.
I have announcements. So at next month's meeting, so May 10th, we will be doing a study session for the City Hall redevelopment. And I will actually be sending you an email this afternoon with more information regarding the build up to that. Of course, I am going to try to, if I can, get the agenda packets to you, the design a little earlier than a week out, which is what we generally do, just due to the gravity of it. And it's obviously will take longer to evaluate than these small projects.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Kaylee, this downtown Old City Hall is going to take more than a meeting or 2.
Yes, we're already planning to just do at least a study session followed by a voting session, kind of the same format we did with the hotel, as well as additional public outreach. Yeah, it's very important for us, and I've been working in tandem with our communications office to ensure that we do that well.
And the reason I ask, it's going to take some time. Your study session is going to take a lot of it, but that voting kind of deal is going to take more time. So I just sort of need to be aware of how long this might be.
Yes, and you will control that as the commission. You know, if we need to request an additional study session, that is possible. We might have to call a special session because we do have sort of a timeline for it. But we certainly don't, you know, want to rush this, again, due to the gravity of it, the importance to the community. So, and then conference planning is still underway. Go ahead. Yes.
I'd like to address a little bit of what Michael King again. I don't know if you're talking, Marianne, are you concerned about from 9 to 10, or are you concerned about month after month after month?
No, I am concerned that when we start this session with the City Hall, that it is covered, that we have the time, that study session, as Kaylee said, it might take a second one to get in, but we want to make it right. And you can't do it in one study session and one voting session.
Thank you. Based on that and the other, we made a decision on the Plaza Hotel. It was appealed. That's all. It's all out there. The results are there. But I've had a lot of questions about scale and mass. We need to know exactly. Every one of us on this commission ought to be able to be an expert, in quotes, on scale and mass. So it's important that we understand that before we go into some of our deliberations and decision making.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up, Mike. I will likely be calling for one-on-ones with each of you prior to this, just so, you know, we make sure we're all informed and consistent. And one thing to note is that, you know, in light of the hotel, we do have a more informed public on the Plaza guidelines. So, you know, we just have to keep that in mind as well.
Anything else?
That's all.
Well,
Conference, you were going to talk about conference.
Oh, I was. Yes. So that's underway, June 25th through 27th. Again, the most important thing will be attendance. I'm going to register you all soon. The agenda will be released soon, so that way you can kind of see what sessions you like to go to. And I believe we have about 6 tours lined up. So should be a great conference. It's been a lot of planning, but again, we're excited that they chose Prescott this year. And we will have representatives from the National Preservation Network present, which is also unique. And that's all I have.
That's all she has. I have one item I'd like to bring to light. At the council meeting last month, a couple weeks ago, in reference to the Plaza Hotel, our vice chair got up in front of the city and the council and spoke his wills. And I'll tell you, it was very powerful. And I think it had a lot to do with swaying decisions one way or another. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome. If you remember, the opening parts of that was, as I said, it was a daunting responsibility to represent this group. And it was, and I failed to acknowledge who was in the audience because I didn't know who was here. I would have liked for you to stand up and raise your hands and take some of the credit or blame. But either way, I missed that, and I'm sorry. But thank you for your words of encouragement.
Okay, any other business that we need to discuss or bring up? Well, then I hereby adjourn this meeting.